In a detailed video, real-life lore explores the long and often tense relationship between the United States and Iran, a dynamic that has developed over more than 100 years. Early 20th century and oil discoveries. The story begins before the Second World War, when British companies discovered vast oil reserves in Iran, which ranked among the largest in the world. The British established the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, but the profit-sharing arrangement was highly unfair, with Iran receiving a small fraction compared to Britain. As World War II progressed, concerns about Iran's political stance led to a joint Soviet and British invasion in 1941. They removed the then-reigning Shah and replaced him with his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was more favorable to Allied interests. Post-war tensions and growing U.S. role. By the early 1950s, frustration with the British-controlled oil industry reached a tipping point. Iran's Prime Minister, Mohammad Mosaddegh, nationalized the oil company to reclaim economic sovereignty. In response, Britain imposed an embargo and, together with the CIA, orchestrated a coup in 1953 that removed Mossadegh from power and strengthened the Shah's rule, turning Iran into a close Western ally during the Cold War. The 1979 Revolution. The Shah's modernization efforts, secular policies, and use of secret police led to growing discontent. Massive protests eventually forced him into exile. In his place, Iran became an Islamic republic under Ayatollah Khomeini, ending centuries of monarchy and transforming the nation into a theocratic state. When the U.S. admitted the Shah for medical treatment, Iran demanded his return. This resulted in the storming of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, where 52 American diplomats were taken hostage. Diplomatic ties between the two nations were severed shortly after. Iran-Iraq War and rise in hostility. In 1980, Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, invaded Iran, beginning a brutal 8-year conflict. The U.S., seeking to undermine Iran, supported Iraq with weapons and intelligence. Tensions deepened further with attacks linked to Hezbollah, a group supported by Iran, including deadly bombings in Lebanon. The U.S. labeled Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism and escalated military operations, including naval strikes on Iranian forces and platforms. One of the most tragic incidents occurred in 1988, when a U.S. Navy ship mistakenly shot down a commercial Iranian airliner, resulting in the loss of all 290 passengers. Tensions in the modern era. In the mid-1990s, the U.S. enforced a complete embargo on Iran. Following the 9/11 attacks, President George W. Bush identified Iran as part of the axis of evil. Concerns rose over Iran's nuclear ambitions, especially after the Iraq War, prompting global efforts to limit Iran's capabilities. In 2015, the U.S. and other world powers reached a landmark nuclear deal with Iran, offering sanctions relief in exchange for restrictions on nuclear activities. But in 2018, the Trump administration withdrew from the agreement and reimposed sanctions, sharply increasing tensions. Nearing conflict in 2020. By 2019, the region saw a series of escalations: attacks on oil tankers, drone shootdowns, and the targeting of military assets. After a deadly rocket attack on an American base, the U.S. launched retaliatory airstrikes. Things escalated further with an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. In early 2020, the U.S. killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a drone strike. Iran retaliated by launching missile attacks on American bases in Iraq, injuring several troops. Days later, amid the chaos, Iran accidentally shot down a civilian aircraft, killing everyone aboard. Despite these tragic events, both sides stepped back from all-out war. The video ends by underlining how fragile peace remains between the two countries, with more recent developments expected in future episodes.